We'll just roll with it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Style Esports Season 6. We are now in the playoffs. We are in Bracket 8, Round 1, and today we have two great teams for y'all. Today we have Merciless Esports Yaksha versus the Dark Matter Squad. My name is Shinkari, and I'm joined today by Baymax. Baymax, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, except unfortunately several subs have been brought in, making basically all of my notes entirely worthless.
Yes.
Both mid laners have been subbed out, but you know what? That's okay. We are in the first best of 3 of playoffs. That's right. Style Esports Season 6 has ended, and that means that, or the regular Season 6, the regular season, excuse me. Style Esports regular Season 6 has ended. The playoffs are very much alive. They are beginning right here, right now, and both these teams had mediocre showings in the regular season, I would say.
Yeah. These two records are not much to write home about. Merciless Esports Yaksha sporting a 0-4, the Dark Matter Squad sporting a 4-4 across their games. Going into this match, the TDMS, even though they are 4-4, technically have a better record than their opponents. They do have a little bit of a hill to climb in terms of individual skill.
Yeah, when I was looking at the rosters, it just seemed like the Dark Matter Squad, they were sort of all over the place in terms of like having players that didn't necessarily play the role they were assigned to, and like having not super versatile champion pools. In terms of the competitive viableness of the roster as a whole, we'll have to see. I think Team Dark Matter have got a lot to prove. I would say they're definitely underdogs here.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with that as well. I mean, the last time we saw them on stream, it wasn't the best showing that they could possibly have. They had a couple rulings against them, meaning that they, in their best of 3, they had lost game 1 and lost all their bans in game 2. They showed some signs of life in the one game they were able to play, but it wasn't enough to bring home the win for them that time. Let's see if they're able to bring it back this time around. We're already pretty deep into picks and bans. The first round of bans have already gone through. Yone, Volibear, and Master Yi banned for Merciless Esports, and TDMS have banned Kassadin, Udyr, and Silas. Hecarim has been picked up for Merciless Esports. Tristana and Warwick have been picked up for TDMS. What do you think of these picks and bans so far?
I'm glad you asked, because I was about to start running my mouth a little bit. TDMS got the Warwick locked in for their jungler, Mr. Spooky there. He is one of the biggest question marks in my mind for this team. He is a Master Yi one trick, and also just on paper, he is not among the highest ranks in this game. So he's got a lot to prove. If he can come out of the gates swinging on this Warwick pick, and hopefully he can, because TDMS have put priority on getting him a pick that he can be at least a little bit comfortable on, right? They first picked him the Warwick. If he can come out of the gate swinging on that, then that will potentially be a good sign for TDMS moving into this series. But I think a lot of it rides on him, especially if they're going to be first picking it for him.
Of course. I mean, Atrix has both of his pretty much preferred jungle champions banned away here. Volibear and Master Yi are a vast majority of his games, with Master Yi picking up about 83 games in this current season, as he has about a 64% win rate on it. So Volibear comes in second place around, I want to guess 15. I think it was somewhere around there. Not as much as Master Yi, but still a comfortable champion for him. Obviously, you want to take it away from him. I mean, if you look at the picks and bans, it's already 3 jungle bans, and then immediately both teams first pick jungle. So obviously, lots of priority on the jungle here.
Yeah, but I think it's probably more justifiable for Merciless Esports, though, because the Hecarim pick is something that is very strong in the meta. I love Hecarim. I think he's super versatile. He's strong at basically all stages of the game, and it's a pick that I'm getting my junglers mixed up here. My notes are a little bit off. It's a pick that Spooky, the jungler for Merciless, is pretty comfortable on. And he does have a versatile champion pool, so he's got a lot of options that they can play around. And I like the Hecarim lock-in. I'm a little bit sketchier in the Kai'Sa and the Victor. I do feel like in recent patches, the Kai'Sa has become more punishable by things just like the Tristana, which was locked in by TDMS, right? Heavy dive compositions like what TDMS is currently bringing to the table in the bot lane. I think that it could be a little bit scary for Yaksha.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also, I agree with you mostly that Kaisa has been falling off lately. It looks like this just might be a bit of a comfort for FG Fireball here, who's the AD carry of Merciless Esports here. Obviously, if still able to get off the ground, Kaisa is able to follow up a lot on these engagements from Hecarim, and also with this Galio as well. It should make for a pretty good team fighting comp later into the game, but you are correct. Kaisa with the nerfs does have a bit of a hill to climb.
And we got a Seraphine, presumably mid lane Seraphine, locked in now for the Dark Matter squad, which is a bit out of left field for me. I wasn't sure what to expect from the person getting subbed in because they aren't actually showing on the roster, so I'm not sure precisely how that works, but I do like Seraphine mid, especially with TDMS's comp. Actually, I really like the way this composition is beginning to round out. Seraphine quite good at supporting, buffing up Tristana, keeping her alive while she does Tristana things. I do think TDMS's AD carry is probably one of their stronger players, so I don't hate the idea of putting a lot of resources into making sure he is set up for success. And also the Aatrox pick coming in through last there for Team Dark Matter. I should clarify. Team Dark Matter squad. There is a difference between the teams. There's two teams that are named Dark Matter. One is Team Dark Matter. One is Team Dark Matter squad. Anyway, I digress. The Aatrox coming through. That is a preferred pick for the top laner for this team, whose name is I Love Ali. It's a bit awkward to say that, but I Love Ali's most preferred top laner is the Aatrox. So some comfort picks coming through here for TDMS.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm a big fan of this team composition that TDMS have drafted here. They have very strong initiation, and they have also pretty good counter engage as well. If Merciless Esports decides to engage upon them, they have a lot of defensive tools as well. Tristana, very hard to lock down. Alistar has a very good disengage tool. Seraphine has a lot of CC as well. And so it's really interesting, this kind of versatile team fighting comp that they've drafted here. And there are a couple comfort picks here. Really big fan of what the Dark Matter squad have put together here. Yeah,
let's take a step back. I was gonna say shift back, but a step back and take a look at MEY. Merciless Esports Yaksha. We haven't talked about them too much yet. I briefly mentioned earlier that in my mind, they are probably going to be the stronger team. This is despite having an 0-4 record. So far this season, leading up to playoffs, they haven't really proven themselves to be capable of what I would hope they are and I would expect them to be capable of. So it's their turn to step up right now. And I think the team composition they've picked definitely has the tools to do that. I mentioned earlier, I like the Hecarim in the jungle. I don't mind Victor mid lane. It's a bit spooky to first pick that, but it got answered by a Seraphine, which is not the deadliest, biggest punish to Victor, right? Like that's fine. Sure. If I'm a Victor mid, like I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. You're not picking Seraphine to win the lane. You're picking Seraphine to win team fights. So 100%. 100%. Yeah, and then the Gnar pickup, big fan of it. Yeah, I have seen nothing but good things coming out of Gnar here. Like, Gnar is like a lot of things that you want in a top laner right now. They can 1v1, they can brawl in small little skirmishes. They have very powerful teleports if they're able to get in with the Mega Gnar. And they're a strong split pusher as well. Like, they have lots of wave clear. They have good mobility if they're able to, if they get collapsed upon. There's a lot of good things about Gnar, and especially with the changes to Stride Breaker, which is another big item that Gnar likes to build recently. It's just lots of good things for Gnar here.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Gnar is definitely strong. And for those who don't know, the Stride Breaker changes basically nerfed the crowd control, the slow from Stride Breaker, but buffed the range. So if you're a champion that needed the gap closer but not the crowd control, it was actually a buff for the Stride Breaker. But if you needed it for the slow, then it was a nerf. Gnar doesn't really need the slow. He's got enough in his own toolset to keep him kiting. He's just able to hit you with his boomerang, tag you with his auto attack, and get that W passive off. So I would say it was probably a buff to Gnar. My one reservation with the Gnar pick is it's not really in Naruto Uzumaki's champion pool that much. I'm looking at his match history here. I'm seeing 2 games played so far this season, 1 game played in all of last season versus most of the picks he's comfortable on. He's got a ton of games on Quinn, Nasus, Darius, Aatrox. There's those champions that he's looked better on. Season 2020, he played Mordekaiser and Nasus and looked pretty good on them. So it's not exactly a comfort pick.
Yeah, it's not exactly a comfort pick. I agree. But I still feel like Mini Gnar is going to play very similar to how Quinn plays normally. You know, it's just a ranged versus melee matchup in the top lane that I think uh, I will at least assume that Naruto Uzumaki has at least a conceptual what's the word I'm looking for? It's just like a more of like
Advantage.
yeah, a conceptual kind of idea of what he needs to be doing in the top lane as a ranged character versus a melee in terms of the 1v1.
Well, we'll see. I think a lot of it comes down to skill level in this matchup, and Aatrox is scary in the hands of someone that is skilled in the champion, and I do think
Yeah.
of Lovely as reasonably skilled on it. So we'll see how that goes. What do you think about this
Yeah.
bot lane? Because Kai'Sa Galio, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I feel like it might just die into a Tristana Alistar.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a pretty bread and butter comp in the bot lane, like Kai'Sa and Galio. Galio has a lot of CC, a lot of engage, and Kai'Sa does a very good job of being able to follow up on that, and also being able to capitalize on the basically the free damage that she gets to apply her passive as well. So it's a pretty bread and butter bot lane combo that's we saw in the early stages of season 11, and now it's starting to distance away from that because of the nerfs to Kai'Sa and folks just being able to counter the Galio with the Alistar as we've seen here, and it's just going to be very hard to really lock down this Tristana as the Galio because Tristana is very slippery, and also
there's an Alistar.
yeah, there's also an Alistar. That's also something to note. If you are going in as Galio and you're not getting the knock up onto Alistar, you better be focusing all your damage onto that. But then Tristana is going to be able to turn around with a bomb and a hail of blades and be able to match your burst damage.
Yeah, she'll just jump on the Kai'Sa and like kill her, I think is the idea. And I do think Tristana is one of the strongest AD carries in the game right now, especially if you compare it with something like an Alistar that'll keep it alive. And that's a concern that I have for MEY is they don't really have many like medium to long range options to get on the Kai'Sa other than like Victor when until like later in the game. And Victor isn't really strong until later in the game. And until that point, Stolen should be enough to basically keep any of the aggression coming through from MEY off of his AD carry. And Chase can snowball this bot lane. I'm thinking bottom half of the map, I'm thinking TDMS should definitely be stronger here.
Yeah, and with that, we are going to just take a short break, but when we come back, will Merciless Esports finally be able to prove themselves? Kindly come out with a win. Will the Dark Matter squad be able to prove that their team comp is as strong as they have drafted and that we have talked about? Well, we'll have to see in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Style Esports right after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Style Esports Season 6 Playoffs, Bracket 8, Round 1. Merciless Esports Yaksha is on the blue side, and the Dark Matter Squad is on the red. We are finally in Summoner's Rift, and we're at a pause.
You know,
we were talking about this like in between, like in the loading screen, like in between, like during our break. We're just like, we're stuck on 94% going into spectate, so someone probably paused.
probably.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can still set the stage, right? We can remind everyone what's happening here. Keep in mind, we are right now, the Style Esports regular season 6 has ended, which means this is the first best of 3 of playoffs for both of these teams. And I mentioned this in Champ Select. Neither one of these teams had incredibly stellar performances in the regular season. Merciless Esports actually went 0-4, but we're still seated higher and playing against higher teams for the most part than Team Dark Matter Squad, who went 4-4, but were seated a little bit lower. So I would say Team Dark Matter Squad underdogs coming into this game. However, we were talking during the break and during Champ Select. I like TDMS's team composition more, but can they execute on it is the question in my head.
Yeah, I mean that's really what we need to what needs to happen here. Like, if you outdraft your I have had discussions about outdrafting your opponent, and if you do get the better draft, sometimes you can win 60-40, but a lot of times, that just kind of, you lose that ground because you draft a team comp that you might not be comfortable with, and or you draft maybe a team composition that you don't execute as well, and that can end up leading to you losing. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is the
Oh,
how hard is it to execute on this team composition?
well,
is what I'm trying to say.
you can't overcommit into team comp if you aren't familiar with champions, right? Like you
Right.
got to be able to execute on what you're doing, 100%. That being said, TDMS are familiar for the most part with the champions they play. Aatrox is a comfort pick for Lovely. I have no idea for the Seraphine mid because that was a sub that wasn't even on the roster. But Chase plays Tristana. Stolen, I think, plays the Alistar, and I know Aatrix Gaming Wukong was like his third or fourth most played jungler, pretty far behind the first couple, but in the wheelhouse. So these are champions that TDMS are fairly comfortable with. Conversely, on the side of MEY, I feel like that's not as much the case. Gnar is a bit foreign. I don't remember seeing Victor, although Take My Pines Off is a sub, and I didn't look into it super close. I don't know. We'll see. Where the pause is over, Stolen's walking into a bush.
Oh yeah, Stolen might be a little out of position here. I don't think they're in a I don't think Merciless Esports is in a place to engage really on him. So he's just going to take a bit of damage and back away. I'm not sure why the support was on the top end of the map there. A little interesting as this Gnar continues to distract me with him just screaming.
He's so cute.
Thank you, directed camera. Very cool.
He's so cute. I love Gnar. Gnar doesn't have any bad skins. They're all adorable.
Oh yeah, they're all great.
The Gnar skins are good. My question is, can he execute on it? Because he's got like a couple games on it this season and last season, and that's it.
I will at least give them the benefit of the doubt because he does have a lot of games on Quinn, and maybe some of those skills are transferable. But ooh, wait a minute. Bot lane?
The bush.
Oh yeah, Stolen. That's going to be a double knockup, and immediately the bomb is going to get on top of Kaisa here. That's the full charge. The exhaust was also done as well. They're taken so low, but now they're trying to turn it around onto Stolen. He's taken incredibly low, and looks like Soren might look for more. Spooky is coming in from the side here, and that's going to be the flash. Re-engage the head, the pulverize, and that's going to be the heal as well. Hecarim is coming in from the side, and this might be just a little too bad for them. First blood was picked up by Kaisa, but now Tristana is forced to flash away. She's not level 2. She doesn't have another ability, and she's going to get away just fine, but a 1-for-1 in the bottom with nearly every single summoner being spent by both bot lanes.
Yeah, both 80 carries do end up with a kill at the end of the day, and Spooky didn't actually get the kill credit on the Hecarim, so technically wasting a bit of time. May fall a little bit behind Aatrix in the jungle, and you already see Aatrix moving in to try to punish Spooky by taking his topside jungle away. I didn't even see that. I took my camera off directed, but Fireball looking for a dive.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an easy pickup kill. You pick up level 2, you get those additional abilities, and you're able to follow up, get that kill. That's now 2 gold and 2 gold into the, excuse me, 2 gold, 2 kills into the pocket of Kaisa very early on. And we talked about Kaisa not having the best of early games, needing to get into the mid, and that's just the acceleration that they might be looking for here.
Yeah, I think this is a really bad start for TDMS, right? In my mind, they have to win mostly through the bottom side of the map this game. Mid lane, you picked a Seraphine into a Victor, so you're basically letting him kill for free, which is fine. The Seraphine is very strong in that mid game, but really only if Chase is ahead, or maybe if like Lovely is really ahead on the Aatrox.
Right.
But really, it's Chase. In my mind, the bottom lane for TDMS should win the 2 versus 2. Of course, that wasn't a 2 versus 2. It was a 2 versus 3. Spooky was there and changed the name of the game a little bit. And now Chase getting solo killed in their turret as well could end up starting to spell really, really bad news for TDMS's first playoff game.
Yeah, and the problem is here is when you're behind, you typically want to be freezing your lane and making sure that you're not giving up, making it easier for the opponents to gank or even put a lot of space between you and your turret. And that's really hard for a Tristana to do. Tristana doesn't exactly freeze lanes, and so it's going to be really hard for her to get back into this if she's not playing as aggressively and not getting punished for it as she is right now.
Yeah, Tristana and playing from behind don't typically mix all that well, right? Her strength is her damage, the threat of being able to jump on your face and one-shot you. If she doesn't have that, she doesn't really have anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but we're looking at at how the bot lane is actually playing out, and Chase is getting away with a whole lot. I'll say, like, this is just, I don't know how this Tristana is getting away with this, but she's just getting a lot of these turret plates and shoving and getting bot priority for basically free. Meanwhile, on the top lane, yeah, Spooky's going to dive onto the level E here. He's going to take him very low. He's going to flash into the team here. He's going to be taken very low. Neither Naruto, Uzumaki, or Spooky can finish him off. So they're going to get away with just a sliver of HP in the top lane.
Oh my gosh, I thought the flash was troll, but dodging the boulder, giving him just enough range to auto attack and heal back a little bit of HP. Lovely manages to walk his way out of that one. And bottom side of the map, Team Dark Matter taking advantage of the fact that Spooky showed top lane. They're taking the dragon away. That's a first dragon going to go over to TDMS.
I mean, that's basically what you want to be doing with Warwick. Warwick has some actually really good clear times when he is at low HP or he's attacking something at low HP. He gets this extra attack speed like we're seeing right here, and when he's low HP, he does a little bit extra damage. So taking these objectives is pretty good for him, especially early on.
It definitely is. It's what he's good at. He's kind of bad at doing anything else until he's got the infinite duress available. Like that, the ultimate is, as far as ganking goes, a Warwick without an ultimate is pretty unintimidating. That being said, a Hecarim is not unintimidating. Watch out, Chase.
Oh yeah, here comes the gank in from the side. He's going to knock the Alistar into the taunt. Tristana is now trying to get away, but as best they can. But Stolen was the target, but they're immediately switching onto Chase here, and he's going to go down. Now Stolen is caught between 3 members and maybe also a Victor as well. That blast cone might be his escape. He gets over the wall. Kaisa no longer has vision, but here comes the Victor. Here comes the Hecarim, and there's the kill. Aatrox Gaming is now in the gravity well. He's going to get stunned up, forced to flash away. He's now trying to get away as best he can. There's going to be the fear coming across, and a little bit of extra movement speed from Hecarim means he's going to be very far away. Nikki-kun now coming in trying to save him, but it's not going to be enough as Take My Pants Off just catches Aatrox Gaming with his pants down. Let's go.
Oh, Aatrox. He was close to getting out of there, but man, you're a level 4 wolf and you got a Seraphine mid lane. You just can't fight this early. Now top lane, heavy trade being taken. Not as heavy as I thought. Everything's going to be okay up there, but now 5-1. The kill lead for MEY, Merciless Esports Yaksha, expanding as time goes on. An interesting hop from Naruto. He wants closer to the plate, but he might be in trouble here.
Yeah, he might have got button off a little bit more than he can chew here. Stolen in the top side of the map. Hello, Alistar. How are you doing today? I guess he's just roaming around wherever he feels like. Yeah, he's got those Mobos, which means he's going to be going around wherever he feels. He did force a flash there, so a pretty interesting gank, but ultimately pretty good for TDMS here. The Dark Matter squad picking up a couple summoners in the top lane.
Yeah, but those summoners going down only really matters if you can capitalize on it at some point, right? If Naruto ends up dying or failing a play because he's got no flash, that's when that gets punished. Now Stolen, maybe picking a fight would take my pants off, but he's level
Yeah.
4 to a level 7 Victor. This Victor is pretty strong. 57 CS, 7 and 8 minutes in, basically.
Yeah.
2-0. This is terrifying for TDMS, right? I struggle to see too many ways for TDMS to deal with this Victor in the late game.
Yeah.
If he's gonna have such a lead in the early game, and he's gonna like Take My Pants Off is gonna hit that late game so much sooner, right? So much kill gold, so much CS gold, the most CS in the game by just the smallest of margins. He's off to a good start.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, two kills already and 63 CS. That's exactly what you want to be seeing at this stage of the game. He only has a couple more minutes to pick up that 100. He's looking very, very good on this Victor, and if things continue in this way, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with as this game progresses.
Speaking of forces to be reckoned with, the blue buff is being scuffled over, but Atrix, you're down a level, buddy.
Oh yeah, he's taken so incredibly low. The Death's Advance coming across here. He's still trying to get the blue buff. He is able to pick it up, but he's going to get killed by the Hecarim here. Spooky picking up a kill for himself.
I don't know if that's a worthwhile trade, Atrix. Maybe if you had hit level 6 off that camp, something could have happened, but still, the collapse coming through. Chase getting flashed on.
Yeah, that's going to be flash. He is taunted at the tail end of the taunt here, but this is exactly what we were talking about. They're just going to ignore the Galio and just get right on top of the Kaisa here. Now, Tristana wants more. That's a huge amount of damage. He's going to block the Justice Punch, knock him up into the air. Stolen! Amazing! MVP taking up that turret. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Lovely is going to get focused down here. That's going to be 2 members against 1. The rock is not going to land. It hits some minions instead, and this might be the chance he's looking for. He's stunned up. Hecarim is still trying to do as much damage as he can. He's going to be able to find the kill. Naruto Uzumaki is still alive. There's still hope for the Hidden Leaf Village.
That's a killing spree for Spooky, but Chase and Stolen. Oh, okay. The start of that was honestly just greedy from MEY, because like we talked about, you can't really engage on the Alistar. You can't engage at all in that lane if you're MEY, because the Tristana just jumps on your AD carry if you're the Alistar and you go in. Like, or not the Alistar, the Galio. Like, you just can't do that. So a bit greedy there from Soren, but also Stolen coming in hot with the turret dive. That was some fancy footwork to use the flash to get out of turret range just in time to set up a perfect kill for Chase. That was a spoon-fed 300 gold if I have ever seen it. So well done by Stolen and Chase in that bot lane 2 versus 2, keeping TDMS potentially in this game.
Oh yeah, for sure. And picking up that bounty as well is a great chunk of gold that Tristana was missing before, and now she's got it. She's up in gold, she's tied in kills, and she got that bounty as well. So now I think the gold has swung in their favor. Yeah, they're up about 800 gold, Tristana over the Kaisa here, and now they're looking for this Earth Drake.
Yeah, trying to take advantage of this bot lane pressure to start up a dragon, but most of MEY is nearby. Spooky's got a bit of a gap to close before he can get to this dragon, but Atrix is low, Nietzsche's kind of low, Stolen's kind of low. There's some low health bars here.
Oh yeah, Atrix is probably going to be the target of the fight here. That's going to be the Infinite Duress dodging in here, but they're going to dive right on top of a Galio taunt and go down 1 by 1. That is 3 kills over this dragon here, and that's going to go over to Merciless Esports.
And TDMS not respecting a nice flank out of Soren, not respecting the damage that a Mountain Dragon can do, right? Low health bars. Atrix had like 300 HP. He got tagged by a laser from Take My Pants Off, and he was already out of the fight. The Infinite Duress killed him. He like couldn't do that. He was just dead. He couldn't do anything. And so 3 for 0, that's like a clean fight win coming through for MEY. They give up nothing. They take everything. Dragon going over, 3 kills going over. Naruto even doing okay in the top lane. He's getting bullied maybe a little bit by this Aatrox, but he's up 25 CS, so who's really bullying who here?
Oh, yeah, I mean, Aatrox is going to spend his flash here to try to look for Nora, but Naruto, Uzumaki, the Gnar, so slippery, so hard to get on top of this champion. He is just going to get away with bullying this Aatrox in the top lane. Also going to get a flash for himself as well.
Yeah, and I empathize with Lovely here because I feel like he's thinking to himself, my team just ran it down to the other side of the map. I have got to try to make something happen up here. But you got to know your limits, right? it's difficult to engage on that. If Naruto Uzumaki still got his hop up, it's impossible
God.
to engage in that. You got to bait it out first. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, Chase has been behind in some of these fights, been giving away some kills, but he is up 30 CS, and he is still Tristana, who's been left alone with a turret long enough to get 4 turret platings. Not all at that instance right there, but bot lane turret getting very, very low for Yaksha.
Ooh, this might be the final curtain call for Naruto Uzumaki here, forced to flash away. I did believe he used something. It looked like he used. Oh yeah. He did he use the Iron Spike whip? I was so confusing. I saw something for a second.
Cooldown.
Yeah. Stolen coming in from the side here. Going to use the combo. Yep, he's going to find the stun here. Here comes the heroic entrance. Galio's coming in from the back, but Kaisa has already dived onto the Seraphine in the backline. That's going to be a huge amount of damage already down. Stolen is now the target of that. Alistar ultimate is not going to save you. Double kill for FG Fireball.
And overextension from TDMS. I don't know if Nietzsche and Stolen would have had the damage to find that kill, even if the rest of Yaksha hadn't shown up, because there was no ultimate available for Nietzsche. Where the heck is the damage going to come from? I think Taking My Pants Off would have just run away, but he didn't even have to run away. He's got the Hero's Endurance on top of him. He's got Spooky running in from the side. Another team fight win for MEY. This time, they're going to take a Herald off of it instead of a Dragon, but they are really starting to run away with this game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And speaking of MEY running away with this game, Soren is showing top lane, and oh no, Spooky might be forced to use the smite here. I do believe he got the Rift Herald, but now Lovely is now having to fight a 2v1 in this top lane here. Nar is just doing so much damage. Can he survive for just a little bit longer? Naruto Uzumaki does get the Mega Nar. He is pretty tanky. He has tanked up multiple turret shots, though. He is going to go down, diving just a little too deep. The rest of his team is now here to support, but here comes Nishikuni. He's going to be able to find a great charm. There's going to be the stun as well. They're going to be able to maybe find something, forced to flash here in order to pick up the shutdown. Atrix can't really find more, but Chase in the bot lane here is looking for the kill on the Fireball. Spends the jump and the flash. Still not enough to get close. And that's going to be, I guess, a 2-for-0 across the map in favor of TDMS.
Yeah, Merciless Esports trying to have their cake and eat it too, right? They want the Herald, they want top lane turret and the kill onto Lovely all at the same time. They split the resources and they just can't get everything. But they tried to get everything, they got punished for it. And once again, bottom side of the map, both AD carries burning flash trying to kill each other. And there's no surprise there. Spooky at his Gromp, he's getting engaged on.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a huge amount of damage. He's going to use the smite in order to heal up here. Take My Pants Off coming in from the side. Stolen, forced to flash over the wall. Atrix Gaming is coming in for the side for a little bit of support. Spooky is here, but so is Soren. Soren immediately jumps in. There's the flash. There's the taunt. Immediately, 2 are dead. Stolen just standing there waiting for the Hex Splash to come back up, but it's too late. And now that's another double kill onto FG Fireball. 7-1-4 this Kaisa is.
And both teams seemingly going back and forth saying, playing a competition of who can be greedier. It's like, I'm going to get greedy and throw a team fight. No, I'm going to get greedy and throw a team fight. Nietzsche and Stolen, that happened mid lane like 30 seconds ago. Not 30 seconds ago, like 5 minutes ago. You don't have the damage to kill anyone, especially with no ultimate available, Nietzsche. You need the Encore, or you really can't do anything on the Seraphine, especially this early on. There's not even a first item finished yet. You are a supportive champion. If you are a Syndra or an Orianna, sure, go for that. Top lane, I didn't even see what was happening here. Lovely,
Take My Pants Off. Take My Pants Off, just taking down Lovely there in the top lane is not what you want to be seeing as this Aatrox here, especially with so much pressure being put on your own turret that might just go down here. Naruto Uzumaki also putting the same amount of pressure on the bot lane here, and this might be all the auto turrets going down.
I will point out, Lovely is dead but has teleport. Take My Pants Off his top lane with no teleport. And Dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. And now it's up. So there may be a window here for TDMS. I would say there would be a window here for TDMS to take this Dragon if they weren't already so far behind. That being said, they are down 4,000 gold. So even with a numbers advantage, it's very difficult to walk into that jungle.
Yeah, I mean, it's all up to Chase here. Chase has so much gold. He does so much damage. That Kraken Slayer does a whole lot of damage and does buff up his burst damage here, and it's just up to Chase to find a really good window to deal a whole lot of damage to Merciless Esports here, and that's their win con here. They really have to protect Chase as much as possible. He is definitely the most fed member on their team, the only person sporting a mythic item as opposed to Merciless Esports with 4 in their items.
All right. Can you quickly hit me with a timestamp? What are you at right now? 1725, 1726?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
All right.
26, 27. Yep.
Awesome. All right, we're good. I thought I might have got desynced for a second there, but I think we are A-okay. And as I say that, Merciless Esports are doing A-okay as well, moving in back towards this dragon. They had reset for a while, but I think they're going to manage to pick up the second dragon of the game for themselves in the near future without too much of a problem. Although, we do see, you were talking about Chase before. Atrix is top lane right now. I think TDMS are trying to make a play up here, but they're just not seeing it happen.
Yeah, and with them being top lane and not pressuring this dragon, that's going to be a Cloud Drake going over to Merciless Esports here. Now, I wouldn't say that the ultimate ability haste for them is hugely important here, but definitely very useful again to get. Oh no, Stolen being caught out at the wrong time, wrong place, my friend, and looks like you're going to be going down here. Not even Seraphine can save you now, and it looks like Take My Pants Off might be looking for more, but he's just going to back away. Meanwhile, we get more scuffles in the top lane. Aatrox and Narn just continuing to go at it.
Continually going at it is sort of the name of the game in the top lane. It's a 1 versus 1. Neither of those champions really having a ton of kill threat on each other, but iLovely moving in mid lane.
Yeah, Chase getting a huge amount of damage immediately on to Take My Pants Off, but he is going to fall down a 1-for-1. Aatrix also spent his ultimate there, not going to be successful in lining it up just enough, but that is going to be a 1-for-1, and I think if you're Victor, that's a win for you.
I would say that's probably a win for Victor for a couple reasons. One, the Victor scaling champion. Victor getting items is probably a little more consequential than Tristana getting items. Although Chase did get a shutdown, whereas Take My Pants Off did not. Although just in general, in team fights, it will be more important, I think, for MEY or for TDMS to kill Take My Pants Off than it will be for MEY to kill Chase, just because Take My Pants Off is strong. He's really strong. He is not the only strong member of his team, right? 5-0 Spooky, Fireball 7-1. There are other carries on this team that can pop off. Take My Pants Off is not the only source of damage. Chase is basically the only source of damage on TDMS. If he's dead, they can't fight. They don't have pressure really anywhere. They can't walk anywhere if Chase is dead. He is the one sole threat to anybody on MEY.
Right. And it is really hard to be in this kind of situation. It's good at least because Tristana, like we're seeing right now, very hard to lock down, very slippery character, and has a team built around her. So let's see if these team fights happen. If Chase is able to pop off and carry their team to victory in this stage. But this might be the fight here that's going to immediately knock Spooky into the air. Chase is getting some free damage onto the backline, and this is exactly what they were looking for. That's a great 3-man charm from the Seraphine, but the sad part is there's already 2 members down on the red team here. Chase is looking around for more. Stolen is trying to get away by getting some jukes, but it's not going to be enough. FG Fireball can match your damage, Chase. That's not the target you're looking for. Nishikun is looking for probably the last bit here. Spooky's going to knock him a little bit forward, but the damage is not going to be enough. That's going to be an ace at 20-50 in this game.
5-for-1. MEY get almost a perfect team fight in terms of results. However, in terms of the actual execution, you were calling out in the play-by-play. There were some good things happening there for TDMS. The gold gap between these teams probably just proving a bit insurmountable there. All of that because the Baron is at 6,000. It's been started up by MEY, but there's a teleport here.
Oh yeah, Lovely is coming in from the side here, and with how much damage Spooky has already taken, he might be able to do something, but he's so far away. He does get taunted up. He flashes forward. He's looking for the kill on the sword. It's going to happen here with the Aatrix coming in with that suppression, but he's taken so much damage. Doesn't have a lot of resistances. He's going to go down to Take My Pants Off. Now Stolen is going to be the kill as well. Double kill for this Victor, and that is going to be just another kill, one after another. Now Baron is being picked up by Merciless Esports as well.
Yeah, TDMS picking fight after fight after fight, trying to find something to some avenue to punish MEY. I think, maybe they thought, hey, there's some little health bars in MEY. The Baron is doing some damage. We can try to look for some kills. Maybe this is the time that Yaksha have overextended, but it wasn't to be so, right? Fireball, so much damage. Take My Pants Off, just enough mana on the back end of the fight. to make some huge DPS numbers come through. And now Baron buff in the pockets of MEY. We're looking at a 10,000 gold lead for this team. The scaling champions well and thoroughly online. 10-1 on the Kai'Sa. Fireball's got 3 items. We're near 3 items for Take My Pants Off. These guys are looking unstoppable at this point.
Yeah, and it all comes, whether or not this game ends, comes down to how they use this Baron buff here. And it looks like they're at least trying to split. They have a 3-2 right now in the mid and the bottom lane. If I see all 5 of them in the mid lane and not pressuring the other turrets, I'm actually going to get upset.
Yeah, that's a common mistake I see teams make, right? Generally, you wanna Baron buff as many ways as possible. That's even more true if you've got strong side laners, like for example, Anar, who you pick pretty much exclusively to be like a side lane split push threat that has an insane teleport flank.
Yeah,
like that's why you pick Nar. Plus, he's just a good blind pick. So
yeah,
I agree. That being said, the dragon was likely what's on the mind of MEY at this point, right? You're not only setting up this sort of weird 2-3 to take turrets, but you're doing it to make sure you got pressure in the mid and bot lane to take this dragon when it spawns. And that's exactly what they've done. So now 5 minutes from a dragon soul. The next dragon, if picked up by MEY, will be a dragon soul. And now the Baron power play is hitting the rifts. We see 5 members strong threatening this mid lane inhibitor turret.
Yeah, and this is probably going to be a mid inhibitor turret going down. They don't have a whole lot of wave clear outside of this Tristana here, and that's going to be possibly the entrance here. Stolen, looking for something, not going to be able to find the pulverize. Now they're just jockeying for position. Naruto Uzumaki hops over the wall. That's going to be a huge Gnar, and that's going to be the heroic entrance coming in as well. That's going to be 2 knockups. They're trying to deal the damage on their Spooky, trying to be able to find a kill, but FG Fireball is on the backside, basically getting damage for free. That's going to be 4 kills. Triple kill for the Kai'Sa here, and now there's only 1 member left. It's just Chase. He's going to be able to find the shutdown onto Hecarim, but a 4-for-1 with Baron buff. This might be the last nail in the coffin.
That may be the end of the game. Chase is strong, but he's all by himself with no summoner spells versus 4 members of MEY, and there's 10-second death timers on anybody on TDMS. And the first Nexus turret, it melted like butter. Second one, gonna go down almost as fast. This is most likely the end of the game.
Yeah, they are so close to taking this Nexus here, but they've maybe hung on for just a little bit here. That's going to be the Seraphine ultimate getting 2 charms here. Kai'Sa is trying to hit the Nexus, but they're doing so much. They can only find 1, maybe 2 kills, but FG Fireball sneaking the kill onto the Nexus. Going to be able to pick up the kill for Merciless Esports Yaksha. Game 1 goes over to them.
MEY just barely clinging to a little bit of HP, putting that last little bit of damage into that Nexus, but TDMS coming away at the end of the day, losing game number 1 of the first playoff game either of these teams have played here in Season 6. So, I want to talk to you, Shinkari. Game 1 is over.
Yeah, it is.
What are your thoughts? What's going on here in Champs? Like we talked about these teams, and I don't know about you. This is roughly, I think, how I expect this game to go. Because TDMS, I like their team got more, but I do feel like MEY are probably just stronger players. And that is sort of what it felt like to me here. It just sort of felt like TDMS struggled to take advantage of leads that they got. But there were definitely signs of life. There were good things that happened. I wasn't overly impressed with the Seraphine mid, though. I feel like if you're going to first pick that, it looked to me like Nichikun wasn't super comfortable on it. Maybe get something a little bit more... I don't know. I'm not really sure what Nichikun plays. He's not on the roster. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, so my evaluation on the mid lane was Stolen was making good roams throughout the map in the early and mid game, but I think completely underestimated the amount of damage that Nichi could actually do. We said this a couple times. You don't pick Seraphine to win lane. Seraphine is a support champion. She does do damage. Let's be perfectly clear. Seraphine does do damage, but it's not as much as a Victor. So when you have a headbutt pulverize combo as a gank into the mid lane with follow-up from a mid laner, you're probably not going to get as much damage from a Seraphine that you would from a more damage-oriented champion, say a Syndra or even a Zed, right? Where the follow-up to that CC is great, right? Nichi could probably extend the fight just a little bit longer with the roots that Seraphine does, but ultimately, if the damage isn't there, you're probably not getting the kill. And with the CC, you're probably opening up an opportunity for folks like Take My Pants Off to turn it around on you.
Yeah, and important to keep in mind is that Victor is he's like deceptively difficult to kill sometimes, right? Victor takes phase rush. He's already got movement speed from his Q. He's got a shield coming through from his Q as well. He's got the gravity field to peel for himself. Like there's a lot of safety tools in a Victor's toolkit to keep himself alive, especially if you don't get him with the initial burst of damage, which Seraphine does do damage. It's mostly damage over time, and she's good at shredding tanks. She's surprisingly good at shredding tanks for a champion. Doesn't really feel like it's doing that much damage most of the rest of the game, but you hit some of those late game team fights, you're just like, oh dang, okay.
Right. Yeah, and I think what it came down to was that the Dark Matter squad was making a bunch of I won't say, let me rephrase that. They made a good amount of good roaming decisions, but in some cases stayed too long. Other cases underestimated the amount of damage that they could deal, and in some cases just was the wrong decision entirely. There was a lot of times where Stolen was roaming around the map, getting a good headbutt pulverize combo, but not ultimately having it being able to follow up on here.
I did like the looks, and overall, Stolen went 1-9. I do feel like he didn't do as badly as that score would indicate. I want to put that out there. I think Stolen had some good looks. I do think we should cut to a break very soon here. Before we do, just keep in mind, this is it. Like, this is the first game of the playoffs. I could be wrong. I was looking at the bracket. I don't think you get to keep playing if you lose this game. I think you're out of playoffs. I'm really not sure though, so I probably shouldn't say too much. But this is the first playoff game these teams have played, and Yaksha coming out of the gates swinging, looking pretty good. Can they close out? TDMS backs against the wall. What can they do?
Yeah, we are going to jump to just a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with picks and bans of Game 2 with Merciless Esports Yaksha versus the Dark Matter squad. Don't go anywhere. This is a match to watch.
just starting. Oh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Style Esports Season 6 playoffs. We are in Bracket 8, Round 1, Game 2. Merciless Esports Yaksha is now on the red side. The Dark Matter squad is now on the blue. And we just got into picks and bans. My name is Shinkari. That is Baymax over there. And Baymax, what do you think needs to happen in these picks and bans in order for the Dark Matter squad to pick up?
Well, first and foremost, I think it would be good if I wasn't talking when we went live. But you know what? We can just pretend that didn't happen, and we can get straight into the picks and bans. So far, nothing has changed. Master Yi and Cassidy both banned in game 1. The Gnar taken away. Here's what I'm thinking. If I'm TDMS and Volibear doesn't get banned, I think I first pick it for my jungler. We did see a side swap come through, which means the TDMS do have first pick.
Right. And I think that is pretty important here. I don't think Aatrix was super behind on the Warwick, but there were like a lot of times where I was just like, he just kind of overestimating, like we did see in that early dragon fight, just kind of overestimating the tankiness of Warwick pretty early on.
I also
but Volibear is open.
The pick is that good. The Volibear is open. I think Volibear is better generally.
Yeah.
The Hecarim did get banned away, which means that is not going to be available for Merciless Esports to pick. Although, the good news for MEY is that Spooky is a very versatile jungler, so he's got a lot of other stuff he can play. You could look to answer with the Kayn. He actually plays quite a lot of Kayn. You could also look to answer with almost any other meta jungler. He's got a big wheelhouse. But the Volibear did get locked in here. First pick for Aatrix. Once again, TDMS putting that priority for the jungler.
Yeah, Dr. Mundo being locked in here. It is pretty interesting. I don't think Dr. Mundo has... I think he received like one buff 2 patches ago. And I think it was the buff to his cleavers. I'd have to double check. But I do remember seeing Dr. Mundo somewhere on there. It is a bit of a flex pick. Sometimes we do see him in the jungle. Sometimes we do see him top lane. But Jinx being locked in over the Kai'Sa or FG Fire.
So if I'm not mistaken, the Mundo Cleaver... I just stabbed myself with a pen. The Mundo Cleaver now restores more HP on target hit, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the buff. And I have seen Mundo quite a bit, mostly in the jungle. Right. So I'm optimistic. I do actually quite like the pick. It's a nice beefy front line for MEY, and it's a solid option just in terms of like not revealing too many of their cards. The Jinx getting locked in, a bit of a change of pace from the Tristana or from the Kai'Sa, right? Jinx is trying to play a little bit slower, play a little bit further back. Kai'Sa's all about dive bombing out of somebody with an aggressive support. And MEY's support does like to play typically things that are more aggressive. Nautilus, Pike, Rel, Leona, things of that nature.
Right. We do see the Blitzcrank being picked up for TDMS here, and that is a really, really interesting pickup. I mean, we don't really see Blitzcrank a whole lot these days. I don't think it's for any one particular reason over another. I just think he's just not as good as some other things. But when you're around the low gold, kind of high silver area, Blitzcrank is a game-changing champion. You immediately have to change the way that you play this bottom lane in order to play around Blitzcrank.
I feel like it doesn't synergize well with Tristana, though. Tristana's all about jumping forward, and Blitzcrank is all about bringing someone to you. Like, it's fine if you hook somebody, but normally you want a support that could really facilitate the Tristana to play, like, uber aggressive and jump on somebody's face. And I feel like Blitzcrank doesn't really do that, especially into a Leona, who can just sort of body block for the Jinx, and you don't really want to hook her, most likely.
Yeah, so... I have 2 thoughts about this. One is that typically when you're playing with a Tristana and you pick a tank, you particularly want something that can disengage for the Tristana, help her get away. Of course, she does have the jump, but also picking up this Blitzcrank here, more of an engage kind of support, does have that, wants to be starting the fights as opposed to not reacting to the ones that are happening. What I mostly see this as is that I think Stolen might be doing the same thing he was doing previously on Alistar, but just moving around the map and having more of a non-committal engage. Having that Blitzcrank hook means that he doesn't have to spend flash, he doesn't need to dive close to turrets, he can just show up, throw a hook. Oops, I didn't land it. I'm going back off.
And will the hooks land? That is always the question with a Blitzcrank, and that's especially the question if you're going to be doing all that roaming, because the champion is pretty useless if you don't land the hook. But let's move past the support role, because a few other picks have come through. The second ban phase has been completed, and the Victor, the Aatrox, the Seraphine, all taken away with Cho'Gath locked in top lane blind for Naruto Uzumaki. Could get answered by a Darius or a Wukong potentially from TDMS. Those are all things that I love. Oh god, what's his name?
Oh my god.
Those are things that he likes to play. I guess a Vayne top is not really in that wheelhouse, but it is good against Cho'Gath.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, okay, yeah, Vayne, ranged champion, does do good against
good against Cho'Gath,
good against Cho'Gath.
Mundo.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is just sort of a counter pick to a lot of these tanks. MEY has drafted 3 of them. And I think that's also a response to the Blitzcrank as well. If you see Blitzcrank, you want to reduce the amount of good targets that he can pick up. If I'm playing Blitzcrank, there is a 0% chance I actually want to hook Cho'Gath. There is a 0% chance.
TDMS have gone full Chad. TDMS have gone full Chad. They got the Vayne top lane, Syndra mid, strong solo laners in both lanes. Bot lane is Tristana Blitzcrank just jumping on people over and over again. And the jungle Volley Bear looking for dives, right?
Oh my god.
Of support for anybody who's looking for a dive. That being said, I think we just got played, because I think it might be a Cho'Gath mid lane. We might see a lane swap come through from MEY, because to put a little bit of context here, the Quinn, typically a top laner, Naruto Uzumaki loves Quinn. He plays a lot of Quinn. It's by far his preferred champion, and it would be a solid answer to the Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, 100% range versus ranged. Quinn does play very well and has some pretty good teleports as well. Not as huge as the Gnar, but has a lot of movement speed. And in some cases, because of her ultimate, doesn't even need to take teleport. She's so fast.
Oh yeah, Ignite is like standard.
Oh
honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can back and be in the Dragon Pit in seconds. It's insane how fast she moves post 6. And so picking up this Vayne after the Cho'Gath, picking up this Quinn in response to the Vayne pick is insanely good. And I'm really excited to see Naruto Uzumaki on Quinn, because there are not a lot of Quinn players out there. I know personally one person who mains Quinn.
Well,
Scratch that. I know 2 people who play a lot of Quinn. I know exactly 2 people who play a lot of Quinn, and I know a lot of people who play
one
League
of
of
them Tyler 1. Is one of them Tyler 1?
No, I do not personally know Tyler 1.
Well, if we're talking about people I personally know, it's probably nobody that really plays a lot of Quinn. Quinn is not really in the meta, although I do think she is very terrifying. And I want to comment on something else too. So I feel like TDMS they just sort of announced to MEY, they're like, well, we're a double agent. MEY was like, well, we're a double agent. And just sort of the old switcheroo got played twice, and MEY pulled the ace out of the hat, pulled the rabbit out of the hat, the ace out of the sleeve with the Quinn. I want to talk about the mid lane matchup too, because putting the Cho'Gath mid lane versus Syndra, I think is actually pretty good for MEY. Syndra is really gonna struggle to burn through the tankiness of a Cho'Gath, right? Cho'Gath's got a ton of lane sustain. His passive makes killing creeps like super, it makes him get a lot of bonus HP back from that. And Syndra, typically, even against squishy mid laners, you got enough mana in your kit to like maybe look for a solo kill at those early levels if you hit most of your abilities and you land everything. Right, against Cho'Gath, that opportunity is not going to be there. You can probably get pressure early, but if you mismanage your mana or miss some abilities, the Cho'Gath can easily turn in late around. And as the game scales into late game, like you said, the Cho'Gath, I like it a lot. Solid pick, just body block the Blitzcrank. Can body block a lot of other stuff too. It does get countered by the Vayne, but if the Vayne is not strong because the Vayne is landing against the Quinn who bullies her instead of the other way around, then it doesn't really matter as much. Yeah,
and the only thing I can see past this, right? We see all the champions locked, all the bans are done. It's like, okay, we're gonna send Syndra top lane, and we're gonna send Vayne to match the Cho'Gath, and then it is also bad because assuming that MEY does not lane swap, right? You have Syndra versus Quinn, Cho'Gath versus Vayne. You now have a positive matchup for Vayne, and you still have a negative matchup for Syndra because it is an AP champion versus an AD champion, and one that can match her range as well. So it's just a losing matchup no matter where you put the Syndra, and mostly I feel like Syndras don't take teleport that often, and so putting someone who doesn't have teleport in the top lane is going to be really, really hard.
I would be surprised if that's what TDMS do. I think they just go Syndra mid, bite the bullet, have the Vayne go top against the Quinn. It's not like that bad of a lane, right? She can go even.
Yeah.
The Syndra can just sort of scale. She's not going to die to the Cho'Gath most likely, but you can't kill him is the thing. So it sort of nullifies the Vayne pick for MEY. But my concern here for MEY, I like how this switcheroo goes for the top half of the map for them. I'm a little bit concerned for the bottom half of the map because I'm looking at this team comp and I'm thinking, where the heck is the damage going to come from? Right? You got a Jinx early game. Leona doesn't do damage. Jinx doesn't do damage early game. Cho'Gath does like okay damage, but he's not like a DPS threat, right? He can maybe one-shot a carry if he like lands everything or there's some preemptive crowd kill from the Leona. But that's not a good primary source of damage. And Mundo is the same, right? If he's fed, he can be scary, but like you're not gonna burn through a volley bear unless you're like really far ahead.
Right, and it really comes down to FG Fireball and Naruto Uzumaki here because they are the damage sources. Quinn's probably going to be building a lot of lethality. Jinx is going to be building a lot of attack speed, and most of their damage is going to be coming from those two sources. If they're not able to get off the ground, if they're not able to get ahead, MEY is going to suffer because of it, because the only damage you have left is just hoping that you can poke down the enemy carry enough that Cho'Gath can walk up and eat them. And it's not good.
That's not great. That's not a great place to be because, well, for a lot of reasons, but maybe the biggest reason would just be because Cho'Gath can only eat one person.
Right.
Maybe he can look for that one kill, but after that he's got like nothing. And then he just gets kited and killed because there's a Vayne and a Tristana, like double 80 carries versus a triple tank team. Like that could go very, very badly if the 80 carries get ahead. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier. The more I think about it, the more I actually do like the Tristana Blitzcrank bot lane here. I think it's fine. I think it's pretty good into Leona and Jinx. And if Chase does get ahead on Tristana, which he was looking not bad, him and Stolen were looking not bad in game one. Things could get a little bit hairy for MEY.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Chase is very good. Let's not beat around the bush here. Chase is a good player. He played very well into the matchup versus Kai'Sa, and he was losing that very early game there. Like he died to the Kai'Sa early. Like the Kai'Sa was able to get ahead, but Tristana was still able to shove in the wave, get priority very early on, and then be able to basically outpower this Kai'Sa who was more gold. So I do trust Chase on this Tristana. I do trust them to get ahead, especially with this Blitzcrank as well. But we have to go to a break. TDMS is going up against MEY. We're going to be in Summoner's Rift in just a little bit. Let's see if TDMS can bring this to a game 3. Let's see if MEY can continue their winning record so far. Just after a little bit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Style Esports right after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Style Esports Season 6. This is the first round of playoffs. We are in Bracket 8. We have Merciless Esports, Yaksha, and the Dark Matter squad for y'all today. We are in Game 2. This is the game for the Dark Matter squad to pull it back in order to bring this to a Game 3. And this is Merciless Esports match point. So we should see a little bit of interesting gameplay as we see a little bit of ring around the rosy here.
Both teams shopping a ward. There's look over the wall.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be able to find the Quinn, though. She's going to hop back over the wall now. Rue Soren is still looking for something here, but is taken incredibly low. Going to force the summoner heal here, and both teams are going to back away with no first blood being spilled.
Stolen looks like he's going to have his hook-off cooldown in about 1 second, and he's thinking about going for more. He's got the flash available. Yeah. There it is.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be the flash immediately. They're going to be able to pick up the first blood onto the Quinn here. That's going to go over to Chase in the bottom lane, and that is going to be really big as now they're going to be stealing the blue buff away from Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, not a terrible start for TDMS. I don't know if you saw what happened in the invade, but it was the craziest thing ever. Ring around the rosy, both teams spotting each other out on wards that the other team didn't know were there. So, like, double threat mind games sort of going on, a little bit of weirdness. At the end of the day, kill going over to TDMS, not a bad start to the game. But Mundo being denied a jungle camp is probably not going to be the end of the world. I definitely wouldn't write off Merciless Esports just yet.
Yeah, and also we just see the Vayne arriving to lane just now. She arrived a little late. She is still up a little bit of gold over the Quinn, but definitely not what you want to be seeing if you're a late game champion, showing up to lane late and not getting as much CS. But it looks like they're evened out now, so it looks like it's not too big of a deal.
I just watched iLovely miss like all of his CS on this Cinder, which is tragic. By the way, I didn't mention this. There's a lane swap that we saw come through here for Michi-kun and Lovely.
Yep, that is going to be Lovely in the mid lane on the Syndra, and it's going to be Nietzsche on the Vayne in the top lane. Meanwhile, Stolen looking for a gank onto the Cho'Gath here. Might be able to find it if he lines the hook, but that's going to force the flash instead. And all it costed was Stolen's own flash. And this is exactly what we were talking about in Champs League. We did just want to see, but meanwhile in the bot lane, that's going to be the engage from Leona here. Spent her flash, but it might have been just a little too soon as Tristana, once again, too slippery to be locked down on.
Yeah, Chase didn't even have to burn the cleanse or flash. Still has both of those available. All it took was the rocket jump, right? So over aggression from Sorens. I get it. You're trying to punish Stolen for showing mid lane, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. So I like the look from Stolen. You were 100% right in Champs, like he's looking for all these aggressive plays. Lovely, getting taken low in the mid lane, but I don't think a Cho'Gath's going to have quite enough damage to finish that one off. 1-0 in kills, but the gold is beginning to equalize a little bit in favor of MEY.
Yeah.
Or, well, no, it's about the same.
Yeah.
It's 300 gold either way. It's not a big of a deal. Aatrix ganking mid, no flash on Cho'Gath.
Yeah, he got real close, but the Cho'Gath is pretty good at predicting where people are going and going to land that knockup. Going to keep himself safe for just a little bit longer, but we might just see more and more of a tent being pitched in that mid lane there.
Which honestly doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I feel like the Syndra isn't really going to be able to bully that lane too much anyway, unless he gets a ridiculous lead. Speaking of leads, if you want to play around someone, play around Stolen, play around Chase, right? These big playmakers for TDMS. I think this is where you want to look, where you want most of your attention to be. These guys have the potential to take over the game for TDMS. If they just got to be able, they just got to be allowed to.
Yeah, Aatrix here showing top lane might be a little adventurous. Mundo is here in the top lane, so it's not going to be an easy one versus two here. So he's just going to back away. And what we didn't really talk about there is that Vayne has been forced to back and did spend their teleport. And now they're getting ganked on. Yeah, here comes Spooky in from the side. Naruto Uzumaki's going to use the flash and the backflip here. That's a huge amount of damage. She's slow. That's going to be the damage going on to Vayne. They're going to go down. Spooky picking up a kill for themselves.
And now first kill of the game, getting picked up by MEY. They're getting themselves on the board. Going on to Spooky on the Mundo. He was behind a little bit off that early game play, but he gets right back in the game. And so far, TDMS not being able to really capitalize on that at all, because as you mentioned, Aatrix had just recalled. He was top lane, so in the first game when that happened, TDMS were able to sneak an early dragon with the Warwick pick for Aatrix. Not happening this time around.
Yeah, and that's really just chalked up to not really having priority in the bot lane just yet. They did just pick it up since Soren and Fireball went to reset here, but you know, Volibear's nowhere near in order to capitalize on this kind of pressure that they got in the bot lane here. And in the top lane, Quinn was freezing the wave towards her tower, which meant while Vayne was respawning, so that's going to be just more gold going into the pocket of Quinn here as she continues to put a little bit of dominance onto this Vayne in the mid lane here.
Look at this mid lane trading. Lovely trying to do something to take my pants off, but for every Q Lovely lands, Lovely uses like twice as much of his mana as Take My Pants Off's HP that goes down. Like, this is actually pretty hard for the Syndra to play. I think you can't play this aggressively. You can't be using so many cooldowns. You got to just sort of play the wave and try to maybe freeze and harass with auto attacks. That's like the one way you can really look to get kills on the Cho'Gath. But you can use the lane pressure from the Syndra to look for an early play around something like a dragon if that's what you want to do. And we might see that happen because Aatrix is making his way towards the bottom side of the map with a wave slow pushing in mid lane. And Vision on Dragon did just expire. But Chase, he's kind of positioned like he wants to pick a fight here.
Yeah, Stolen is also looking for some aggression across the board, like we said. He's just using this opportunity as Blitzcrank to get all these non-committal engagements as much as possible. So this is a really, really good champion for him here. And both teams are kind of positioned towards this bot side, so we might see a little action in this bot line. Stolen looking for the hook. He's going to be, he's going to land it onto the Jinx here. They're going to dash forward, trying to get the burst damage, but that's not going to be enough. FG Fireball, the Ignite is ticking, but he is going to look for more. Stolen is on the wrong side of this team fight, and Chase is going to go down to Spooky in the bot lane here. They're now going to chase Stolen out of this bot lane here, but they're not going to be able to follow it up. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Lovely dealing so much. Going to flash underneath the turret. Ignite is ticking. Take My Pants Off is looking for something. That's going to be the Syndra ultimate. The Chew from the Cho'Gath is not going to be enough. He's not going to land it. That's going to be both summoners and an ultimate spent, and Syndra is going to be able to pick up a kill by just the skin of her teeth.
Yeah, Take My Pants Off not having enough mana for his ultimate. I think the reason he went forward onto iLovely after hitting that rupture was because he had enough mana for his ulti, but then he used his E. I don't know if you caught that, but he pressed E for the Vorpal spikes, I think to slow Lovely, but if he hadn't done that, he would have just been able to munch on her. Probably find the kill. So, tragic misplay there. Kill does go over to TDMS, but traded back on the bottom side of the map. Fireball picking up one for MEY, and Chase finding himself a little bit further behind, losing out on that kill, losing out on this flash, so he's got to be careful moving into the next few minutes of this game.
Yeah, and once again, Dragon is still available for both these teams here, but it looks like Mundo might be putting just a little bit more priority into the top lane here. That's going to be the Vision, going to pop Vayne out. She's going to use the Condemn, but not going to find the stun here. That's a huge amount of burst damage already. Oh no, the Ignite is ticking. Vayne has nothing to heal off of. Gonna die, gonna burn down. And Nietzsche, sorry, looks like not God is dead, but it looks like you're dead.
And Quinn is probably just a better ranged top laner than Vayne in every way except shredding tanks and late game scaling. So the early game going quite well for Naruto. Bot lane, Dragon getting picked up, traded away by Team Dark Matter. So they're good at that. This is the second game in a row that we've seen TDMS look to trade an early game Dragon for MEY doing something on the other side of the map. That being said, the early game Dragons don't end up mattering very much if you can't get any other Dragons. And that's pretty much what happened in game one. That looks like it might be what's going to happen this game too, because we are seeing a lead materialize. Lovely is here.
Yeah, Lovely's onto the bottom lane trying to find the kill on the Fireball, and she's going to be able to find that's a huge amount of burst damage, and now they're trying to converge onto Soren here. The jump was already used. Soren is taken incredibly low here, going to find the slow. That's going to be the Solar Flare, but it's not going to save him. Double kill for Lovely.
A nice run from Lovely. I didn't even realize what was happening. I was too busy running my mouth, and then all of a sudden, here comes the scat of the week. Kill going over onto Soren, kill onto Fireball, and bottom lane. Or not really bottom lane, because Chase didn't get either of those kills, but now mid lane, Lovely after the solo kill on Take My Pants Off and the double kill in the bottom lane, looking pretty strong on the Syndra. Just barely didn't have enough gold to pick up a first item off of that reset. But for the next big team fight, probably should have it. Probably should be very, very strong on the Syndra.
Yeah, and luckily for Chase, having a mid laner that likes to roam around when your support also likes to do the same is
a
really,
lot
really
different
helpful.
than a Seraphine. A lot different than having a Seraphine mid.
For sure. And this is also like really, really great for him as well, because like now Stolen can kind of just go wherever. And Nietzsche trying to find the return kill into Naruto Uzumaki here. He is nearsighted. Aatrix going to flash forward, going to put down the Thunderstorm, but it's not really going to do much. Here comes the ultimate. It is going to Ohm Wrecker the turret. The teleport is coming through for the red team here. Here comes Take My Pants Off. He's going to be able to find Nietzsche, and he's going to gobble him up. That's going to be the double kill for Take My Pants Off, and a 2-for-1 rather, trade in the top lane.
2-for-1, and Soren's even showing mid lane to freeze the wave for Take My Pants Off so he doesn't lose hardly any CS. And it's once again, is MEY coming out just a little bit ahead on the play. But in terms of gold, actually about dead even in this game with Chase, looking to get some turret plating gold to his name for the second time this series, right? In game 1, we also saw Chase on the Tristana, basically the same deal, getting a ton of turret plate gold early in the game. He might be getting collapsed on right now. Soren does have the solar flare, but we talked about it earlier. Jinx early game, not super threatening, right? If you want to look to force on Chase with Jinx and Leona, you really are going to need to have probably at least one item on Fireball first.
Oh, yeah, and we see Naruto Uzumaki looking for the roam here. He's going to find Aatrix, though. Aatrix getting a decent chunk of burst damage already. The red team looking to turn this around, but that's going to be the pull in from Stolen, and that is going to be the kill going over to Syndra once again. Lovely picking up a bunch of kills in this game.
Lovely getting a bunch of kills. Naruto also giving Nietzsche-kun some free scaling time in the top lane, right? Getting some minions, getting some turret platings, letting this Vayne potentially come online, but now looking towards the bottom side of the map. Aatrix once again might be trying to start a fight. Looks like he's going to back off.
Yeah, it looks like both teams here just... This is really, really good from Stolen here, and I really like the amount of roaming that he's been able to do, and because Tristana is so safe, and because she's so far ahead, you know, we see Yaksha that's not really looking for an engage here, just trying hard to just farm up this Fireball. It's a really safe lane for Chase here, and for Stolen to just kind of roam around the map.
Here's my problem, though, right? If you're Yaksha, if you're Soren especially, right? If Stolen is doing all this roaming, you can't just sit in the bot lane and do nothing, right?
That's going to be an immediate flash, a knock up, and a silence on a Fireball. Tries to back away, but that's going to be Chase picking up the final kill here. And now Chase is on the wrong side of this team fight, forced to flash away. Spooky and Soren backing away here. Chase comes out here alive, a 1-for-0 in the bot lane.
You're praising Stolen for roaming around the map. Look at this Syndra. Lovely's everywhere, but he's getting flashed on. He might be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be the snare and the stun as well. Lovely flashes away from the solar flare. That's going to be Pim picking up another kill. That's going to be the Blitzcrank pulling Leona away. And that just be another kill for Lovely in this bot lane.
And MEY almost seem like they're getting desperate. They're forcing plays that they just don't have to make. That was a 2 versus 3. Where is your damage going to come from? The question I keep asking. Well, top lane, Nietzsche-kun thinks it's going to come from him.
Yeah, it looks like it was going to come from him, but Naruto Uzumaki prepared. He has that Toad Jutsu, dude. You can't just sneak up on him like that. He's going to pick up a kill for himself.
He picks up a kill for himself. Nietzsche-kun also no teleport available, so going to lose out on a lot of minions for that one. But mid lane, Chase getting some turret damage to try to even the score a little bit. Meanwhile, second dragon has spawned out of the rift. Once again, started up by Aatrix. I don't think MEY are going to look to contest it.
Yeah, they're not really in a position to do so, and we do see just the very good rotation, and there's not a whole lot of vision on this dragon either, so they only just know that Aatrix and Chase might be walking towards here just on that intuition. Take My Pants Off might be caught out here, though. That's going to be a decent chunk of burst damage. That's going to be the ultimate coming down. It's going to disable that turret. Take My Pants Off is very, very low here, and Aatrix is going to pick up a kill for himself in the bottom lane.
It's getting really, really strong on this Tristana. 3-1, most CS in the game. 6-0 mid lane for Lovely as well. The carries for Team Dark Matter squad. right where they need to be in terms of gold, right? They're performing just fine. Not only is the Dark Matter squad ahead in kills 10-6, but 9 of those kills, heck, all 10 are on the carries exactly where you want them. Versus
Yeah.
on the side of Merciless, it's a bit more scattered, right? 2 kills on the Cho'Gath, 2 kills on the Mundo. You said it in Champ Select. Who's going to carry for this team? It's not the Cho'Gath, it's not the Mundo. It's the Jinx and it's the Quinn. Naruto's strong, but he's not strong enough right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a decent chunk of damage on Spooky, just scaring him away from the rest of the team. And here comes Stolen. Stolen's just wherever he wants to be. Maybe he should be playing Mundo. For real.
Perhaps. He's not. He's on the Blitzcrank, and he's looked pretty good on it, so I wouldn't force him off it. Solar Flare comes out. A little bit of a whiff there. Why are you fighting this? Why are you going in?
That's going to be so much damage onto Spooky here. Stolen getting a great hook as well, and that's going to be a kill. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Quinn is going to find a very easy kill onto the Vayne, and that's a 1-for-1 across the map.
Who is going to kill Chase? Fireball's not there. Naruto's not there. Why are you picking the fights? Why? I don't understand. The strongest players of TDMS are staring at you in the face with a giant tank in front of them and a hook to back them up. Why pick the fight? Naruto's winning the side lane. Just let him win the side lane. He finds another kill on the Nichikun. He might get first turret, or he would be able to if the rest of his team had any pressure in the mid lane, but they don't. So he's gonna have to back off that top lane turret. I'm getting a little heated, but man, MEY, calm down. You're getting desperate. You have no reason to force these silly plays. You're okay. You're okay. You can still bring it back. It's not that big of a deficit, but every time you force a weird, desperate play, you make it that much worse.
Yeah, and these desperation plays are starting to turn into overextensions. Just Chase is so far ahead right now, and Stolen, once again, making very good roams. He's looking for more. He's looking for this Quinn, probably.
He's looking.
Yeah, yep, he's fast. He's looking for something. Atrix is in the middle. He's got stunned up by the Vayne here. Cho'Gath is coming in from the teleport here, and this might be the fight they're looking for. Solar Flare comes down, but it's not going to land on anyone, and they're just going to back away. But now the 3v4 ARAM starts in this top lane here. They're just going to back away both sides.
Yeah, and TDMS did look like they wanted to pick that fight, but ended up backing off after the teleport came through from Take My Pants Off. Meanwhile, though, take a look at the map. Bottom lane, Nichikun splitting by himself unanswered. He's gonna be on that turret in the near future. Forced a recall out of Naruto, which means Naruto's on recall. Merciless Esports gonna have a hard time fighting if they don't have the Quinn there. Like Naruto is almost all this team's damage right now.
Like Naruto is so far ahead. He has that Gale Force. He's got the boots. He's got his passive. He's got his ultimate in order to give him that movement speed to be anywhere across the map. But you know, he's not as fast as a teleport. He still needs to show up to these team fights. And if you are real far away, then, you know, there's only a whole lot you can do here.
I just realized Take My Pants Off is going AP. He took Arcane Comet. He's going Everfrost. He's trying to do damage. I don't know if that is my preferred Cho'Gath build, but I can see it making sense here potentially. I don't hate it. We'll see what he can do with it. There's already enough tanky on the side of Merciless Esports, and then Cho'Gath one-shotting a carry could be enough to win him the fight.
Yeah, it's also just a little awkward for me because Cho'Gath really only has his ultimate for that little bit of passive. Meanwhile, Stolen going to be able to find the knock-up onto Naruto Uzumaki here. He's taking incredibly low. The Solar Flare is going to come across, but it's a little too late. Soren's still looking for something, and Take My Pants Off is looking for the kill onto the Syndra here. She's going to go golden. Try to flash away. She's taking real low. That's going to be a stun coming across. Atrix is now the focus. That's going to be the roar. Now can they find more? That's going to be the stun. That's going to be the knock-up. He tries to turn it around with the ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. Nichi and Chase are now here. They're going to be the focus, but now the red team is sandwiched between the damage dealers and the Sora and Stolen here. They're going to look for the kill on the Blitzcrank, but it's not going to be enough. Leona's going to try to dive into the backline, try to find a kill on the Chase, but it's not going to be enough, and she gets Buster shotted away. Meanwhile, that's going to be Chase finding just another kill and a third kill. That is going to be 3 kills for the blue side here.
Meanwhile, Fireball, the top side of the map, he does find himself a turret, but man, if he was at that fight, imagine. It would have been potentially the fight that Merciless Esports really needed to sort of get back in the game. That being said, that fight ended up incredibly good news for TDMS. Lots more kills on a Chase. I think Lovely picking one up as well. and mostly just gold, more gold out of the tanks of Merciless Esports, which again is not where you need it. Now Naruto looking for a kill mid lane, but he's got some backup behind him.
Oh yeah, he was going to engage, came in just a little too close to Chase here, and that bomb might do it. Ignite is ticking, that's the explosion! Chase is now unstoppable.
Merciless Esports beginning to crack. They are struggling to maintain pressure in this game. Chase is ridiculously strong. Lovely, very strong as well on the Syndra. And for me, it sort of feels like the only person on Merciless doing anything right now is Take My Pants Off and maybe Naruto Uzumaki. But other than those guys, it's just sort of, if Take My Pants Off isn't there, it feels like everyone else on Merciless just gets run over.
Yeah, for sure. And this is just more of this lead starting to show. Now 4,000 gold separates these two teams, and it's sole point right now for TDMS here. That's also something important to note. In just a couple minutes, or a few minutes rather, we are going to see possibly the most important team fight of this match.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 30 seconds on that objective timer, the fourth dragon of the game, and Merciless Esports probably in no position. I can't see them being in a strong position to contest that, unless potentially Team Dark Matter squad get a little bit greedy around this Baron and look for a play they probably shouldn't. And Stolen giving me a couple indications that they might be thinking about doing exactly that. Nichikun is in the bottom lane with that teleport available. Take My Pants Off, looking for something mid. He got the Everfrost. He's looking for the one shot.
Yeah, the rest of the team is here to try to dive onto the chase, but that Buster shot is going to save his life. Ooh. Take My Pants Off, taking a little low here, but that's going to be the hook onto Jinx there. They're going to be able to find the kill, and that's just more gold onto this Tristana here.
Missed execution there from Take My Pants Off and Fireball. Take My Pants Off was waiting for the Feast to be in execute range, but yo, you both got your ultimates. If you use the Feast, it means Fireball can ult and execute. That would have been a kill onto Chase. So definitely a misplay. And now it's TDMS who are pushing the advantage. They take mid lane turret, a stun onto Take My Pants Off as well. He's gonna get a little bit low on the Cho'Gath, forced to back away. 5 versus 4. TDMS continue to dominate the map.
Yeah, this is just a very, very good showing. I mean, it's almost a completely different team from TDMS. We saw game 1. They're pushing their objectives very well. Stolen's roams have been very, very good, have accomplished a whole lot this game. Chase is able to pop off on this Tristana, and Lovely is just doing really, really well in this injury. You know, we had a couple question marks like, oh, is Nietzsche going to be well in this top lane? Lovely, you know, has a lot more experience on these top laners. Are they going to play well in the mid lane? And now they're 7-1-3. Chase is 7-1-4. This is just a completely different TDMS from what we saw game 1.
And I would go further than that. I would say that not only is it a completely different TDMS, this feels like a completely different MEY to me as well. This feels like an MEY that is sort of getting nervous. MEY seem to be making mostly intelligent plays, but now they're just getting caught out left and right looking for things that they just have no right looking for. Case in point, Naruto Uzumaki burning flash, try to get control over that ward when his team is nowhere nearby to back him up. And Dragon's not even spawning for 2 minutes. That ward means nothing right now. Who cares?
Oh, but Spooky might be looking for a kill on Nishikun. He has popped the item here, but it looks like he might be having it turned around here. Volley Bear coming across. That's going to be the ultimate, but Fireball is on the backside here, but he's going to meet Lovely and go down immediately. Vayne is also going to be able to pick up the kill onto Quinn as well. Tristana being able to pick up the kill onto Dr. Mundo here, and it looks like Chase just wants more. Take My Pants Off is already at below half HP. The rest of the blue team haven't lost a member, and they're just going to continue pushing on. That's going to be the hook from Blitzcrank. That's going to be the combo, and that's going to be the ace for TDMS.
Shinkari, I did not think we'd be going to a game 3, but we almost certainly are at this point. 22 kills to 9, 45,000 gold to 36,000. This is almost as big of a lead as MEY had in game 1 when they ended the game. And there's some fairly long, okay, death timers aren't that long yet. So for now, TDMS are going to have to play a little bit slower and just sort of chill, take the dragon, set up for Baron, set up for next dragon in 1 minute, clear out the jungle, play a little bit slower. But this game is all but over. It's TDMS's game to end 100%. That being said, Atrix pretty far forward mid, so we might see Soren and Naruto look to engage on him there, but it's not. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, they're going to reset here. This is just going to be MEY looking for just any sort of vision advantage that they can over this dragon here and contest it to the best of their ability. They still have some good damage. I don't want to count out Naruto Uzumaki. That's a Storm Razor and a Gale Force already on this Quinn. That's that's a lot of damage. Rapid Fire Cannon and a Gale Force for this Jinx here. There's a whole lot of damage on these carries. They just need to get a good team fight for themselves in order to turn this game around.
Good team fight is so hard to find, though, right? If you're down almost 10,000 gold, 25 minutes into the game, by the way, like that, 10,000 gold is a lot. That's like an item on almost everybody. Like that's an entire item gap almost across the board on every player on the team. That's enormous.
Yeah.
Now Dragon spawning onto the Rift as well, and now TDMS are in the pit. Soren in trouble.
Yeah, Soren is going to immediately be caught out here. The rest of the team is now looking for the kill here. Stolen might have dived in a little too deep, but now here comes Chase diving onto Naruto Uzumaki here, and Atrix is going to pick up the kill for himself. Meanwhile, actually, that's going to be Chase picking up a kill for himself. He's going to chase the Jinx just a little bit, and that's going to be Dragon Soul going over to TDMS.
Dragon Soul for TDMS, and also a team fight win. 4 kills for nothing. This game is getting further and further away from MEY.
Yeah.
And now Baron also in the sights of TDMS. They definitely have the damage to do it, right? Both AD carries alive. Minichi-kun already starting that sucker up in a 3-item vein, or 2.5-item vein, close to a 3-item vein. This Baron is not going to last very long.
Yeah, and this is, with this Earth Dragon Soul, it is now a lot harder for MEY to get back into this game. I think that's the nail in the coffin, honestly. They could build more items, they could get a bunch more gold, but having a damage shield just passively on your whole team means that these team fights are going to go a lot longer. There's going to be spent a lot more time trying to kill members of their team, obviously, and the longer these fights go on, the more damage Chase gets to deal, which is what he's doing right now to Spooky. Oh my god.
I do want to highlight something also. Right now, MEY are playing against a double AD carry team, and neither one of the two champions that I would think would be the primary tanks for this team have built much armor at all. Nothing for Take My Pants Off. He's going full AP, and a little bit starting to come through for Spooky. He's got a Bramble Vest and Ninja Tabbies, but you see how quickly he melts. That is not enough. That is not nearly enough to do anything. Down 2 levels to a Vayne. Even with armor, it's hard. Life is hard against the Vayne. Without armor, it's just impossible. Nichi-kun, even though he hasn't been that strong, he's been farming well. He's gotten himself some shutdown kills, and he's got 3 items. He's stronger than Fireball is.
Yeah, and I think it just might be Spooky just overvaluing the Spirit Visage at this stage. Obviously, Spirit Visage, insanely good item for Munda, right? But at this stage, oh no, Soren getting caught out here. That's going to be the hook. That's going to be legendary for Chase here. As
how much you want to bet Hook gets? How much you want to bet Blitzcrank gets banned next game? I put 95% odds that Blitzcrank gets banned next game. These 95%.
I will bet the chat all of my Style Esports points that Blitzcrank gets banned next game. First ban.
How many points is that? How many points is
that? It's at least 1,500.
Okay,
that's going to be the hook onto Cho'Gath, and that's just all she wrote. That's just all she wrote. Oh no, that's a lot of damage on the Naruto Uzumaki. Jace is taking that opportunity to get those resets. That's a huge amount of damage on the Spooky, but the Buster Shot is not going to be able to find it. Soren has now re-entered the fight. That Solar Flare is not going to find anything, but the hook is. Soren is pulled right back in. Chase looking for the kill, not going to be able to find it, but this is going to be the TDSM looking for the win here. They're taking that Nexus so incredibly low. That's going to be the game.
That's going to be the game. That's going to be a loss for MEY.
Yep.
That's kind of like, my mind is kind of blown right now because game 1 was a crazy strong win for MEY. They just looked better. And game 2, I would say the exact same thing about TDMS. TDMS just looked better this game. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it was the lane swap for Lovely and Nichi-kun. I don't know if it's having a mid laner with more access to the map. Lovely looked crazy on the Syndra. The roaming was nice. Stolen looked even better on the Blitzcrank. The Tristana's been pretty consistent through game 1 and game 2. Atrix also getting the Volley Bear, I think, was probably a pretty big deal. It definitely looked better on it than he looked on the Warwick. Top lane, Nichi-kun, I mean, the lane was a little bit rough, but the Vayne was a good pick against the team late game. It was a little rough in lane, but late game the Vayne was a good pick. And in retrospect, I'm looking at these team comps. I'm thinking if this game did make it to late game, there probably wasn't really a world where MEY would win, especially with an AP Cho'Gath. I think if you got a tank, if you got Spooky and Take My Pants Off, extremely tanky, maybe you can win late game because they can peel for the Jinx long enough. But that damage is gonna fall off big time, and you gotta have somebody to keep Fireball alive. And that there just was nobody was able to stay alive. Nobody on MEY was nearly tanky enough to match the damage from any of the carries of TDMS, and it was just like game over. 29 minutes. That's a 16,000 gold lead. 16K for MEY. That's so much.
Yeah, that is a whole lot difference from game one, but we'll have to see if TDMS continues this momentum into game three. We've already seen a big flip-flop between these two games on game 2 and game 1. So let's see if game 3 is even up in the air. We'll find out more after this short break. We will be back with Merciless Esports Yaksha versus the Dark Matter Squad. Game 3 picks and bans just after this. Don't go anywhere. This is a game to watch.